Hello, welcome back to Yahusha's Call. We have a wonderful teaching for you today, and we'll be in two parts. And the name of this teaching will be A World of Temptation. Oh, yes, a world of temptation. And before we get too far into it, we got to know what temptation is. And let's go into temptation. It's an experiment, attempt, a trial, proving, all right? A trial proving the trial made of you by bodily conditions, since conditions served us as test of love and of adoration and being faithful. Galatians teaches us that a trial it will test our fidelity. It will test our integrity. It will test our virtue. This is what temptation will do. Temptation is a trial, and it comes to test our consistency. It also can be looked at as an enticement to sin. Temptation, whether arising from the desires within or from outward circumstances, as an internal temptation coming from out but in, is triggering something that was there, in other words. Of the temptation by which the devil sought to divert Yahusha, the Messiah, from his divine errand. Of the condition of things, or a mental state by which we are enticed to sin or to lapse from the faith and set apartness or holiness. It's adversity. It's affliction. Talking about temptation. It's trouble. But it is allowed by Yah and serves to test and prove one's character. It proves one's faith. It proves one's holiness. Through temptation, through trial, we find who we are. And when we give in to temptation and not fight it, we are in rebellion against Yah, by which his power and justice must be brought in. So if you're being proven right now, you're being challenged, is to show yourself approved before Yah. You go to Matthew 4, it says, let's look at the first verse in Matthew 4 and read down to 4. Then was Yahusha led by the Ruach unto the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter, got a name, tempter, came to him, he said, If thou be the Son of Elohim, command that these stones be made bread, or a meal, or food. But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahuwah. Then the devil took him up into the holy city, set him on a pinnacle of the temple, said unto him, If thou be the Son of Elohim, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands thou shalt bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Deuteronomy, of course. Yahusha said unto him, It is written again, Thou shalt not tempt Yahuwah. Again the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me, or make me your God. Then saith Yahusha unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship Yahuwah Elohim, and him only shalt thou serve. Then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. Let's look at James 1:13-14. Many know the temptation of Christ, they call it temptation of Messiah. But let's look at James right quick, and let's get this established fact up front before we begin too much into the study, where it says, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Yah. For Yahuwah cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. Okay? But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lusts and enticed. All right? So we set that straight. Now, Satan has no new tricks. Here are just the same temptations that Eve and Adam failed at. Going back to Genesis 3:5-6. And Elohim knows that in the day ye shall eat, this is Satan himself, thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as Elohim, knowing good and evil. Pride of life. When the woman, which is pride of life, I just want to put a quotation on that. I mean, a little excerpt. When the woman saw that the tree was good for food, making her own evaluations here, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and the tree was desirable to make one wise. Okay, we're looking at lust of the eyes, pride of life here. She took from his fruit and ate, and she gave also to her husband with her, and he ate. So the very same thing, same ideology here is that our blessed Yahusha was tempted with, and we're going to really get into more detail on that. Nothing new. It was done here in the Garden of Eden. All right. Proverbs 27:20. Sheol and Abdon. Well, what is Sheol? Let's get that straight first. When you read a word like Sheol and Abdon, we need to know what it means. Sheol, you'll find in Job 26:6, the grave. All right. Sheol is naked also before him. And destruction, Abaddon is destruction. All right. So let's go back. Sheol and Abaddon has no covering, are never satisfied, nor are the eyes of man ever satisfied. That's your appetite. You never get enough. That's what he's saying. But he said in Romans 13:14, instead, clothe yourselves with the Master Yahusha HaMashiach. So you won't be naked. And make zero provision for the desires of your flesh. Your flesh will let you down. Your flesh will take you down. Your flesh will take you to hell. We're dealing today about temptation, because whether we are Israelites or not, and we're born again, we're all dealing with temptations that we must stand up and fight against. Let's move on. He goes on to say again that, let's go to Revelation 3:18. 3:18. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire. What is fire? Trial. Everybody trying to move away from a trial. They don't want to embrace no trials. They can imagine they need no trials. I'm already perfect. I'm already there. No. You need a trial. Believe you me, you need a trial. Believe the word, you need a trial. because that flesh gets out of order, out of control. And you got to bring it back. And when I say flesh, I don't mean your fingers and your hands and necessarily your feet and all. I'm talking about that fleshly mind you got right there. It's got to be brought down. Every high thing exalts itself above the name of Yahusha. It's got to be brought down. Okay? He says, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich. You want to be rich? You're going to pass yourself through some trials. You're going to get through there. You're not going to select the trials. They're selected for you, but you're going to pass them. All right? And then if you do, you're going to have white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of your nakedness, that carnal mind, means you are naked. You hear what I'm saying? If you have a carnal mind, you don't have no clothes on. I love what I wrote, put this on my Facebook. It says, what carnal people want. You ready? They want, the carnal one wants comfort without the comforter, gratification without tribulation, and consolation without self-examination. I'm going to say that again. The carnal mind, he wants comfort without the comforter, gratification without tribulation, and consolation without self-examination. That's a carnal mind for you. Things, everything else should come, they come to them easy. And when they don't come easy, they don't know how to handle it. Ephesians 2:3. Oh, let me finish Revelation 3:18. He says, that thou be of clothes, that thy shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes. There's that eye gate. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later. With eye salve, that thou mayest see. And see, the whole point of being is, you think you see, but you don't see until you have the spirit of Ruach HaKodesh living within. He is the one who can see and lead and guide us into what? All truth. Ephesians 2:3. We all lived among them at one time in the cravings of our flesh. You know what a craving is? You want another ice cream when you know you done had one and you don't need 2 or 3. You know what a craving is? When your flesh is stirred up and you want sex and you ain't married and you got to try. What you gonna do? Because you're stirring up stuff, watching some of these dirty movies, romantic movies, magazines, listening to bad conversation, all kinds of ways you can influence yourself to stir up those kinds of flames inside your body. And then you want to say, I got a weakness, I got a problem. Yeah, you got a problem. So you know what you have to do? You have to pass that test. And people don't want to pass that test. They think because they're burning that they're supposed to somehow go out and get relief. But that's not Yah's way. Joseph left his raiment in Potiphar's wife's hand and took off because he said it would have been a sin against his God, Yah, and a sin against his own body. So you cannot give in to cravings of the flesh, indulging in its desires and thoughts, thinking on things you shouldn't be thinking on. Like the rest, we were by nature, he says, children of wrath. That's what children of wrath keep themselves occupied with. The cravings of the flesh and indulging themselves in the desires of their thoughts. We're not like that. We're the set apart ones. We are full of the Ruach HaKodesh. We are not to give in to temptation. James 4:16. As it is, you boast in your proud intentions. All such boasting is evil. I mean, when you sit up and plan and things that you want to do, because that's something that's so desirous of you, and you plan it without coming to acknowledge Yahuwah in all your ways, so He can direct your path. That's the flesh. Would He do it? Is it something that brings Him honor? Something that brings Him all things? All things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. And you can't do things just because you want to do them. You have to make sure that this is what Yahusha wants. He's the one who bought you with His own blood, purchased you. He says all such boasting is evil. What do we have to boast about? If I'm going to boast, let me boast in Yahuwah. But I ain't got nothing else to boast about. Nothing. 1 Peter 2:11. Beloved, I urge you as foreigners and exiles to abstain from the desires of the flesh, which war against the soul. You want a successful life, a powerful life, then you've got to go through these tests and you got to pass them. When you don't pass them, you gotta get back up on your feet, ask for forgiveness, and get back out there, because you gotta pass these tests. They are there to sanctify you. All right. Matthew 6:9 to 13. 6:9 to 13. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Deliver us from temptation. Give us the victory over temptation, is what this prayer is winding up with. Because of all that he is and all that we want to be, it is the trials that we must first come through, the fire, that we be able then to look up into the heavens and glorify him. You see? There are three major areas of temptation we're going to get into, and that is the soulish, the body, mind, and soul. So we are humans on the planet. I want to say planet, on the earth. We're human beings. We're made up of the body, mind, and soul. Soul also being the will, the intelligence, personality, character. But in each one of these that make us up, there's a level of temptation that we have to overcome. All right? So let's look at the first, the body. And we equivalent the body to the bread. Bread, body. And Yahusha said, man shall not live by bread alone, which means food, shelter, clothing, and other staples that we consider necessary for survival. Matthew 6:8 says, be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things you have need of. Before you ask him, he knows what you need. Here we see a problem with the eyes again. Sometimes we look next door and see what somebody else have and think that's what we need. He knows what you have need of. You have what you need now. Oh, you may not have everything you lustfully or desire or want. He said he'll give you the desire of my heart. Yeah, he'll give you the desire of your heart when your heart has been changed to his heart. Because there'll be things you won't want that you wouldn't ask for, and they couldn't give it to you in a silver bucket. When your heart is sold out to Yahusha. The kingdom of the world and their glory. Look at that as the mind. The old thinkaroo here, so-called. Personal enticements of power, fame, gain, wealth, and influence. Have you noticed all the folks that you notice that get all this fame and glamour? Who's happy? They live such confusing lives. It's so sad. I feel sorry for them. I've been sitting up and watching them on television sometime and watching them pass back and forth, and I'm saying, look at that. So sad. This system is working them to death. They got no life. And if they ain't got no life, I know they don't have no joy. And if their life is not in Yahusha, I already know they're miserable. Never want to be like the world. Never want to be famous. Never. I don't even want to be a famous preacher. I wouldn't I wouldn't be a famous person. You can keep it. I don't want to be popular. Please keep it away from my doorstep. I have enough trials as it is. I do not need that. Because all that is flesh. It's who I am. Woo-hoo. See me, what I've accomplished. See the books I got out. See what all the things I've done. No, it should be about Yahusha. If your life is not your living epistle, what you need it for? Live this thing. And if you think your book can get somebody in a better shape to meet Yahusha than the holy scriptures, it's laughably mistaken. I listen sometimes people say, oh, you got to get my book and learn how to walk with him, learn how to hear his voice, I ain't going to learn nothing out your book. I'm going to learn it out of the book. I'll read your testimony, what Yahuwah is doing for you in your life, but I am thinking about you trying to teach anybody how to live when that's what the Holy Spirit, Ruach HaKodesh, is about, and that's what his word is about. What you should be doing is encouraging people to get in that word, not in your book. Your book. Nothing's original anyway. It's just pieced together a little differently. They're all the same. And I'm going to write a book too, but I'm going to write it on sayings, wisdom that comes from the Bible, comes from scriptures. Can't take no claim for it. That's it. If I do that, I may change my mind on that one, because it's been so many years I've been saying I'm going to do it. I haven't done it. Let's look at the temple, the soul. Oh, forgive me, the mind. Personal enticements of power and fame and wealth and influence. That's pride of life, by the way. Desirable to make one wise, he said. That's what Satan said. Desirable to make one wise. Genesis 3:6. Lust is strong appetite to satisfy fleshly, soulish desires, which are always contrary to the will of Yah. The temple, which is the soul. Fall down and worship me. This is a religious spirit. Religious spirits offer false sense of security through idol worship, rites, and traditions. That's what you call lust of the flesh. False prophets. Look at false prophets with Elijah. They were cutting themselves, dancing, prancing, bleeding, crying for their God to start a fire on that altar. It never happened. Oh, boy. We know what happened. 1 John 2:16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is what? It's of the world. Now, that's really concise, very to the point. Let me say it again. All that is in the world. I'm going to tell you everything in the world right now. You ever heard what she's going to tell you? Everything that's in the world. You ready? And that's the system, the world system. I'm going to tell you everything that's in the world. It's the lust of flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. That's all it's got right there in a thimble. Our lusts have a very powerful influence on our actions if they are not caught and corrected immediately and repented of. That's the grace. We can repent and get it straight, get it right, stop doing it. Can lead us into further sin, and eventually it will lead us to death, because the wages of sin is what? Is death. Lusts are in direct violation of God's or Yah's perfect will, because they misdirect us into moving away from Yahuwah unto our own selfish desires. The word is never used in a positive context. Rather, it is always seen in a negative light, relating primarily either to a strong desire for sexual immorality or idolatrous worship in secular. In the Old Testament, the word is primarily used to describe idolatrous activities. That is the word idolatry activities, although it does have sexual concerns. We're talking about lust here. In at least two instances, Job 31:1, Proverbs 6:25. all the world has to offer you and I, or mankind, are superficial type band-aids that bring temporary pleasure while covering the deep woundings that darkness of life without Yahuwah brings within the human soul. And I'm going to read that again on part 2. It's just but an illusion, saints, to hide the truth of Yahusha. It is only an illusion to hide him from the masses as they plunge into eternal damnation. In other words, and I'll stop there, you're being deceived. Like Eve was, you're being deceived to think this world has anything for you. Put your trust in the hand of Yahusha. Trust him. Obey his commandments. Follow his precepts. Honor his holy days. Show him show him that he is number one with you. He is the only one. You will be blessed, my child. You will be blessed. Well, I'm going to end there now. I want you to go with Yah. Why do I say that? Because if you obey him, if you'll walk with him, he'll always be there with you. Remember that? All right. Until next time.